Welcome, everyone, to the Boiling Point podcast. I am your host, JD, and with me on this very special episode 71, who was Marcus Frederiksen? We have Marcus Frederiksen's sister, Mia Jean, here to join us. She's going to talk to us about Marcus Frederiksen. Of course, we did the Simmer Down segment. That was just between me and my buddy Mizpah. I definitely did not know him very well, as I had only known him for a couple of months, maybe about a year. So Mia agreed to come on. Mia, thank you for coming on the Boiling Point podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So Marcus was your brother, and we talked a little bit before we actually started recording here. He's the second oldest of 5 children.
Correct.
And he's older than you.
By 3 years.
By 3 years.
Give or take. Yeah.
Yeah, give or take. Now, of course, Marcus Frederiksen, he's the guy that does the music for us. When we met, it was just at the right time. I told the story on the last podcast, episode 71, What a Year. So go check that out. I told the story of how I met him. And he hit me up at the perfect time because we were just starting to look for music for the podcast. And he reached out and messaged me and asked me if I had Arthrogryposis, which is what I have. So we started talking, and I found out he was a musician, and he agreed to let me use his music on the podcast, and we will continue to use his music on the podcast for as long as the Boiling Point podcast runs. At least for the opening or the closing, it'll always at least be one or the other. And of course, you can go visit his station, not him. You can go visit his station and all his music on ReverbNation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. Go check out his music. Mia is driving right now, if you can't tell from the video. So Mia, now that I got all the promotional stuff out of the way and people know where to go visit his music, please go visit his music and share it out. Now I never got the chance to have Marcus on. Unfortunately, we could never make our schedules match up for him to come on, and that was unfortunate. But I'm so very glad that you're able to be on, and we can talk about him and his music. So
he would have been a much better interviewee, but I'm glad to be here.
Okay, well, I don't know about that, but yes, being that he was in music, he was probably at least a showman of sorts, as I am. Compared to my brothers, I'm more the salesman, the showman than they are. So
true.
He was the same way then. He was always more the showman.
Oh, the go-getter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So as a child then, how did he handle his disability as a child?
If you would have asked him, he didn't have a disability.
Very good.
Ever.
Is that how your parents... Is that how your parents raised him to be, that he wasn't like, it didn't matter? You were still just go do it. Doesn't matter.
I think so. I think especially my dad. I don't think that anybody ever treated him any differently than they treated the rest of us. Something needed to be done and you're capable, you should probably just go do it.
That's how my parents treated me, the same exact way. They did not give me, special treatment, beyond the normal, now we both have arthrogryposis. I believe I have it a little bit more severely than he did, being that I'm confined to a wheelchair and he was not confined to a wheelchair, right?
No, not because of his arthrogryposis. Okay. He had artificial limbs.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was just his feet?
Correct.
Okay. So we have the same disease, but it's a wide range between the more mild cases and then the more severe cases, for sure. And that's how my parents were. They didn't treat me any differently either. It was the same exact way. That held accountable beyond, of course, within my limitations, of course, but they never treated me like I had limitations. It was always just go out and do it. Now, did that carry over this all through all his life? When he became a teenager, young adult, it was always the same way?
I think when he became a teenager, it amplified. Like there was never Never any hesitation from him to ever do anything. And
Okay.
he was always the one who had the strength and the encouragement for everyone else. And he had so much for himself. It was just overabundant for everybody.
Okay, good. And that's how he kind of came off to me too, the little bit I got to talk to him. Because he also, now let's talk about his faith a little bit, if you don't mind. Because when we talked, he seemed to be a believer in God. So would you think, I mean, has that always been, or did he find that along the way?
I think it's mildly always been, but it improved and increased and got stronger as he aged.
Very okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The same with myself too. I certainly had some times where I turned my back on it, but always turned around and came back to it. And he was also struck, when we talked, it seemed like faith was pretty important to him. His beliefs were pretty important to him as well.
Absolutely.
So with five of you guys, and he's the second oldest now, and I would imagine that he was the boss usually, right? He had no problem with telling people what to do and how to do things.
He was my boss.
Very
a lot
good.
of times. Well, as kids, not necessarily as adults, but as kids.
Of course.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would never say it was really all that bossy, but always very matter of fact. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I don't mean bossy in the sense that he would boss people around, but bossy but being a boss type where, when he said something, his opinion carried weight. People, you and your siblings
Absolutely.
listened to him, followed his lead sometimes and so forth like that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Now how did he, obviously, he probably had to overcome some challenges with his disabilities, especially when he lost his feet. How did he handle that? How did he overcome that?
So I was super young when that happened, so I can't really say.
How old was he when that happened?
He lost his right foot when he was 5, and his left foot when he was 7.
Okay. Now you said that wasn't due to the arthrogryposis?
That was.
Okay, no, it was.
So
he
was in a wheelchair towards the end of his life, but not because of his arthrogryposis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not know that he was in the wheelchair there towards the end.
Yeah, he was just getting weak and, lost some strength and
it was respiratory problems?
Yep.
Okay.
COPD. Yep. So, yeah, it was just easier for him.
That's something that actually I looked it up, and that is something that can happen with people that have arthrogryposis. They can develop respiratory problems.
Yeah.
So, which I found interesting. That was something new that I was not aware of. I knew of other complications, but I was not aware of that specifically. So it was interesting. As soon as I read that, and as soon as everything happened with Marcus, I've been trying to, because I'm a smoker, so I've been trying to quit smoking since like very hard now to try and quit smoking because I found that out.
Right.
So what did you guys all, the kids and stuff, what did you guys all do when you were kids? Like, did you have a game or anything special that you guys like to do? Did you guys play pranks on your parents?
We probably played more pranks on each other.
Okay.
I think. I think that he and I were each other's best friends all the time. All the time. Even when we were duking it out, we were still best friends, Yeah. And his sense of humor was infectious. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
There was never a dull moment when you were around him, ever. And if it seemed like there was an elephant in the room, it was quickly turned into a mouse because Marcus was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the light of everything. I mean, he made sure everyone was happy, and a lot of times even before his own happiness.
Absolutely. I can relate to many of the things that you're saying about Marcus. So it does not surprise me that he was that type of person. So I think that kind of comes with being different from everybody else. You know what I mean? especially with brothers and sisters, because I got two brothers, and I do whatever I can for them, and I'm if they need to talk to me or anything like that, absolutely, they they know that they can. So,
Right.
and I always try and encourage them and do things like that, whatever they're doing. Now, about his music, when did he start getting into music?
From the time I can remember. I remember him going to, so we went to the same elementary school, obviously, and I remember him doing a talent show, and he doesn't remember it, but I know it happened. He sang Open Arms by Journey.
Oh.
And he doesn't remember singing that particular song. He knows he did the show, but he doesn't remember what song he sang, and I never forgot. And that was, to me, I mean, the first time I remember. And then as we got into being teenagers, it was nonstop. There were drums blaring and guitars going, and he never quit.
He played multiple instruments, right? He played drums and guitar.
Correct. Yeah.
And he also does the vocals.
Yes. And he also played, I want to think he played maybe an oboe and maybe a mandolin as well. Wow. The one thing that he couldn't really have the dexterity to do was a violin.
Okay.
So any other stringed instrument, he was on top of his game.
That's interesting. That's very awesome that he played that many instruments and stuff. I didn't know he played that many. I thought it was just the drums and the guitar.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe there might even have been a banjo in there at one time too. I don't anything with strings and anything that he could, use as a drum.
So when did he start recording his music?
Probably about the same time. I always remember him singing. I don't always remember him singing publicly until we were much older. Okay. But as kids, him and I that's what we did. We just walked around singing all the time. So I'm sure my love of music comes from Marcus.
I'm sure that is absolutely the case. So did you have any stories you wanted to share about Marcus?
I pushed him off the bunk bed once. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
He was fine.
Yeah. I mean, my brother, and I'll talk to you more about this a little bit after we're done recording, but I'll save this for him to maybe tell sometime. But my brother dropped a claw hammer on the back of my head once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to go get stitches. Yeah. I mean, he was young. He didn't know. He was barely able to pick the thing up.
Sure. Yeah. Marcus had friends who were just as much in the humor department as he was. He had a friend put his feet in the freezer at a party once.
Yeah, I remember he was telling that story, or he posted something on Facebook about that, or his friend did. That's right. His friend shared that on Facebook. I remember seeing it. Yeah. That's got to be something. That had to be something.
I'm sure he wasn't mad about it.
Well, even if he was, it was probably just for show.
Right.
Just to continue the prank, like to get back at him, like, because I've done that too, where I pretend to be extra angry until they're like, oh man, he's serious. And then you're like, ha
ha. Him and I broke into the Washington Park pool when we were teenagers, and we got in trouble, obviously, which we should have. And everyone got a ticket, and we went to court, and Marcus's ticket got dismissed because the officer had written the wrong date on it.
Oh.
Yeah. So, the guy still owes me like $30 because I feel like since he didn't have to pay a fine, he should have to pay half of mine. Right. So
that's funny.
I mean, we weren't altogether too naughty, but when we were naughty, there was no holds barred.
Yep. Now he's 3 years older, right?
Yep.
So when he was 21 and you were 18, was there any, purchasing or assisting in drinking?
No, I wasn't much of a drinker. I was always pregnant. So.
Well then.
I didn't ever have to worry about that,
Okay.
And I don't even remember him being a real big drinker and really into that much alcohol until after I was over 21. I mean, I know he drank, but yeah, he didn't supply.
I think it's pretty much universal. As soon as you turn 21, you're going to drink for a little while.
Sure.
All right. Well, again, his music, go find it on reverbnation.com. Wait, let me make sure I got the address right. Yeah, reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. Are you going to be leaving his music up? Or are you in charge of it? Or?
So no, well, so it is going to stay up. His Facebook's going to stay up. There's been some people who have made mention that they've noticed that he's active on Facebook, and that is obviously me.
Yeah.
But for good reason, because I don't ever want it to go away. I want people to always have an outlet to talk to him or say things they need to say, or.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. I can completely understand that. And of course, if it is active, of course, it's you or whoever is managing it for him now. And there's absolutely, I would completely understand that. I would imagine my brothers would probably do the same for my Facebook page. So, and then that's, yeah. And if people have a problem, I can't imagine really someone has had a problem with that. Have you had someone?
No, they weren't rude. Okay. They just, I mean.
Oh, they'd reach out to you concerned, like, hey, someone's on Marcus's page.
Yeah, okay, like, what's going on?
All right. Well,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The Reverb Nation will also stay up.
Okay.
That will, as long as I'm able to do it, it's not going anywhere. And then May 14th, there's going to be a celebration of life in Casper for all of the Casper, Wyoming family and anybody else who wants to come, obviously. We are going to be posting about that as it gets closer, but we don't want it to get lost in the event shuffle on Facebook. So, we are going to have one.
Well, we'll have you on closer. We'll definitely at least have you on, if not before that, we'll have you on closer to then again, so you can, promote it and remind everybody in case there's anybody watching that wants to see or pay their respects.
Oh, perfect.
If you're okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yes. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad you're keeping his page active so it doesn't get deleted by Facebook, by the Facebook Nazis. And that's great. And just so you know, I also, after everything happened, I went and downloaded every single one of his songs from the Reverb Nation. Because I said, because I wasn't sure, you know what I mean? I wasn't sure exactly what was happening until you had reached out to me and let me know. Of course, that was after I hit about 6 people up. So I'm sure you got messages saying, yo, some freaking crazy dude is asking about what happened.
I didn't, actually. I saw your post, and that's whenever I reached out to you.
Okay. Yeah. So, I have no idea what I was saying before that. Yeah, we'll have you on again. And, yes, that's what I was saying. I have his music. So if something ever happens to his station and you don't lose copies of his music, I have copies of his music on my hard drive now. And I will be backing them up as well. So if for any reason you lose access to his station or lose his music, just let me know. I will be happy to make sure you get them back.
Perfect. Thank you.
Because, like I said, I didn't know exactly what was going on or if you guys were going to be taking his pages down or his music down.
Oh, gosh, no.
I mean, you never know, though, sometimes with death, some people, want to keep it to themselves or whatever. So I didn't know. So just in case, I downloaded all of it just so that way I could continue to use his music on the podcast. Yep. So I
want you to use it. I want you to keep using it because that's what he would want. Yeah.
Yes, and that's great. I'm glad that I also have your blessing to continue to using the music as well. And I will, like I said, I will continue to use it no matter, even if we blow up and we get big and, we get big contracts and stuff and we end up on Spotify, we're still going to use at least the opening or at least the closing. For at least one of the things, we will continue to use his music. So we just might switch up the songs or where in the songs we take from time to time.
Sure.
But that way, so we can share more of his music. That's why I did it after my first year. I changed up what songs we were using, so that way we can share more of his music. So maybe more people will hear some of his songs and want to go visit his station.
Right.
And make sure you share it out since it's on reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. The link is in the description. All of his link to his station is in every single one of our episodes. You can just visit and go to the description. It's right there. We also started included the links to the individual songs that we use for the opening and the closing. So make sure you go check them out, listen to the whole song, and give it a share. Should continue to share his music. Mia, it was so great to have you on. I'm so glad that you took the time and that you were able to get through it. I'm sure that it was difficult. So thank you for that. I want to have you on again. So let's hopefully make you a regular person that can come on the podcast. And definitely next year, you said May, what was it for the event?
May 14th.
May 14th of this next year. So make sure if you're interested in that, keep your calendars open, mark it on your calendars now. And we'll have Mia on again to let us know closer to then so she can give us some more details, and we'll talk more about it as we get closer. For Mia Jean, thank you so much for being on. I'm your host, JD, Marcus Frederiksen. He's going to play us out as he always does. That's the end.
Thank you.
Love is strong, it lasts so long, it just goes on for eternity. And now you've won through your son the greatest gift, so that we